The last couple of years, I've been covering the revival of iCarly. For those not in the know, in 2021, iCarly returned but in a more adult way, playing with its writing, themes, and plots in a more PG-13 landscape. Something to age the show up a bit to be able to appeal to its initial audience who have grown up now. Definitely a big risk, but has it truly paid off? Well, that's for you to decide. As for me, the first season was a fun return to the characters, but had some balancing issues, not fully having a solid direction of where they wanted to take the show. The second season played more into a lot of the nostalgia from the original show, although it still had some moments that didn't quite click. This year we got season 3 of the show, which had just had its season finale the day that this video releases. Fun fact, season 3 of the show was officially announced on July 27th, 2022, and season 3 has officially ended on July 27th, 2023. Funny how things happen like that. So that leaves us with 10 new episodes for us to go over today and overall see how this season turned out. From where we left off in season 2, we ended on a note of will they won't they for Freddie and Carly to potentially be a real couple, causing Creddy stans to lose their minds if that's potentially happening. And I have a feeling that season 3 will deliver some big payoffs for that. So let's jump right back into this new version of iCarly and see if this series is on an upward trend or possibly on the opposite side of that, not really taking us anywhere aside from callbacks to the original show.
Greetings, fellow humans.
Similar to last year, I am covering all of season 3 within one video, rather than going week to week with episodes like in 2021, as I feel the discussion being about the season as a whole all at once has been the best way to digest the series. But to help set the tone of the video, I wanted to give my baseline thoughts about what I thought, before we really start digging into the meat and potatoes, or rather the spaghetti tacos and various food items on a stick. So the main question, was season 3 of the iCarly revival good? Did it offer a true improvement from the previous seasons? Yes, I can confidently say that season 3 is good. In fact, I'd say it's honestly great. From the main storyline that beats its way throughout to the plot lines that are separate to the individual episodes. Plenty of improvements have been made when comparing it to the previous seasons, and it totally embraces the right choices at almost every turn here. As we go through the episodes, I hope if you've been watching the series, you'll see how we get to what just may be the best season yet, and by a far margin.
Am girl and F train.
Episode 1, I Buckled, brings us right back into where we left off at the end of last season, kind of. A little bit of time has passed since Pearl walked out, leaving Freddie and Carly in an awkward moment of what's going to happen next. We start off with a fun misdirect here, making it seem like Freddie is getting ready to do something like possibly propose, which leads to a moment where Carly walks in as Freddie is picking up the ring, but the proposal allegations are beat when Carly awkwardly walks past Freddie and is a bit flustered, cluing us into something didn't go the way we may have thought it did at the end of last season. And this was all a proposal set up for Freddie's mom to propose to Lubert, and you know what? I'm happy for them. Pearl comes in and we see that Freddie and her are still together as he went after her in the end and was able to go work things out, leaving Carly to deal with having these weird feelings towards Freddie, stuck in this what-if middle ground and causing a passive-aggressive beef between Pearl and her. Carly talks about waiting up that night for Freddie to come back to her, but he went after Pearl, talking about this all with Harper as she dusts nothing. Rather than speak with Freddie like an adult, she works with Paul, her manager, played by Josh Peck, to help come up with some sort of distraction and a way around ever really directly talking about this with Freddie, setting up this whole reality show called The House of Shay that Paul really wants to push a love triangle drama with Pearl and Freddie into for the ratings. We get a guest spot for the reoccurring character played by Hannah Stocking, as this mess of a reality show has Carly looking like this, and Paul convinces Freddie and Pearl to be a part of this as he purposely tries stirring the pot based on Carly's actual feelings, leading her to tackling him and walking out. Freddie goes over to her apartment to speak with her, getting into a deeper conversation about their friendship and discovering that she was waiting for him that night, as well as how there has always been this thought of them giving it a shot and becoming more than just the best of friends, but it's always just been a thought and never properly acted on, no matter how close we've seen it come before. Honestly, this conversation is pretty heartfelt and sweet, and I admire the writing so far between them. Carly ends up buckling after Freddie says something super sweet about their friendship, symbolizing that she has fallen for him, literally, but to a degree that she wouldn't be able to shake. He didn't catch this though, as Pearl's text distracts him and has him head out. As far as that fake show went, no network wanted to pick up whatever Paul tried having it edited into, but a fairly strong opener episode that explores where both Freddie and Carly are at, certainly having this tight connection, both stuck in this weird space of not being able to do anything about it, more so from Carly's end. The smaller side plot was focused on Millicent wanting to be the maid of honor for Miss Benson's upcoming wedding, and is sad that she isn't asked until later when she is asked to be the officiant, to which she happily accepts and is more excited about.
I don't want to talk about it.
Content creators, your followers will watch it, but who cares?
Carrying on into the second episode, I Love Your Shoes, Carly deals with her depression by drowning herself in cheese, and hey, who hasn't been there? As Harper tries setting her up on some dating apps like one called Sevens Only, which lends itself to some fun jokes from Pearl when her and Freddie enter her apartment. Carly tries to hide her feelings in front of the both of them, as we see that Freddie is still protective of Carly as she uses these apps. For a side story involving Harper, she mentions a girl named Tinsley, someone she used to go to school with, and claims that Tinsley was her bully, an overall mean person, but is for some reason hiring her for her fashion help. Spencer has a small side plot as well, as he comes in all sad, face planting into the couch over the fact that he was given a bad review on an art piece, saying he seems out of touch with his art since becoming filthy stinking rich. Carly decides to go on a date with someone she met on the app, and it goes over just as awkward as you could think, while Harper meets with Tinsley, with the two of them trying to outclass each other, with Harper embellishing her success and even her accent. Spencer comes up with a plan to get rid of his money to get back in touch with the arts by purposely investing in businesses doomed to fail. Carly's second date goes a bit better with the same guy, and it's at least cute for the moment. Later on, as they show up at Spencer's new axe throwing bar, which I feel these type of places do really well, especially for date nights, so losing money here probably isn't going to happen, but it is used as a date night with Freddie and Pearl being there, as Carly and the guy she's dating show up. Carly is still holding in this jealousy when seeing them together and can't hide it too well, as she goes up to Pearl to tell her that she has nice shoes, with this compliment being used in a way that signals an underlying tone that Pearl takes in an aggressive manner, as Freddie makes awkward conversation with her date and also technically calls Pearl a shoebie for wearing socks and sandals. And this whole interaction leads to a fight between Freddie and Pearl. At one point, she grabs an axe and throws it right past Carly's face as it lands on the wall target behind her, claiming that she missed. Pearl starts going off on everyone in the cast, but mostly to Carly and Freddie, saying it's clear that there is something there and she's all that he can truly think about, and that they're both obsessed with each other, as she then jumps into the arms of Carly's date Troy, as they seem to kind of be a good match, and then they just leave, leaving Freddie pretty dumbfounded. Carly tries to lighten the mood by saying that at least this means they have more time to make iCarly, which upsets him, as it's not the right moment to think about something like that after losing his girlfriend of a year. As far as Harper and Tinsley, they are at the bar there as Harper's card gets declined, exposing the truth to Tinsley, as Harper now opens up about how mean Tinsley has always been to her. But this tension goes back and forth until they start making out, as they truly may have a spark here, and the whole being mean to each other thing is their form of flirting. But now we get into the emotional part of the episode, with Carly going over to Freddie's place with his favorite froyo, pointing back to a moment earlier in the episode when we learn that he can't enjoy his favorite flavors anymore due to Pearl. She apologizes for coming off selfish in the moment, as they begin a serious discussion about how they need to navigate being adult friends first and foremost, always having this close relationship. The two of them embrace in a nice comforting hug, as Carly this time offers some really sweet words that, as she walks out, causes Freddie's knees to buckle, cluing us into where things may be going. Also, Spencer's plan of not making money and losing it leads him to not being able to do anything but have more of it. Oh well, the struggles of being rich, I guess. But with a name for a business like Sister Axe 2, how could you not make money? Once again, I love how we are navigating the conversations between Freddie and Carly. It feels so natural and rich with genuine reality that offers some valuable takeaways. Now, with both of our main two characters in the show single, episode 3, I Make New Memories, starts with them filming some iCarly stuff, as we see how both of them are being awkward and corny while trying not to be awkward and corny. Spencer then shows off his new sculpture called Memory Lane, but upon turning it on, the power in the building goes out, frying Carly's phone and her personal memories hard drive containing 15 years worth of photos as Spencer attached it to the sculpture. Upset over losing those memories, Freddy comes up with a way for them to recreate them by resetting up those scenarios and taking new photos. The cute and cringe levels of their not flirting is so over the top at this point, Spencer is left in disgust, but wants to help recreate everything, with the moments they show being recreated having pretty fun callbacks, and it's always great to see Spencer losing himself in the roles that he has to become for some of them, like at one point being Freddy's mom. Speaking of Freddy's mom, this is where our side plot lies for the episode, as Harper and Millicent end up helping Freddy's mom find the perfect wedding dress. And oh boy, for being a fan of the original show back when it was on the air, this sure feels interesting to say the least. Having Miss Benson transform into a fully fleshed out character rather than just this supporting overprotective gag. Feeling liberated and more carefree with this dress she is already dead set on wearing that says naughty girl across it. So we actually get this character development for Miss Benson fully embracing herself as Marissa, being happy for having her own life and focus now, with Freddy grown up and moving on with his. And you know what? Good for her. Through reliving these memories and spending time with Freddy, she struggles with not overstepping the friendship to show her feelings towards him. Freddy is clearly enjoying the time together as well, visibly falling for Carly like he did all those years ago. No, literally, he falls backward at one point. Now, this part I think is really cool, and it helps bridge the gap in a story between the original show and the revival, as Carly wants to recreate a moment when Freddy flew out to Italy to go see Carly after she left. She is nervous to do this, but she wants it to be perfect, and in her memories it was such a perfect night that she romanticizes in her head, as Freddy comes over dressed up sharply as she walks us through the dinner they had, with Spencer playing the photographer that snaps their photo, with Carly saying that she could live 100 years and never find a friend like him. But this happiness for her quickly turns into pain for Freddy, as his viewpoint of the events were completely different, as he recounts it as the worst night of his life. After Carly gave him a goodbye kiss and left for Italy, they spent countless hours on the phone as he decided to fly out to Italy after her, setting up the dinner as he was preparing to ask her to be his girlfriend that night. But when hearing her emphasize their friendship over romantic interests, he felt crushed and thought that she was playing with his head and stringing him along, a repressed feeling that he's been keeping in this whole time. It was that night he promised himself he wouldn't get roped into this again, explaining why he's been more reserved towards Carly, and why after the end of season 2 he decided to leave and go after Pearl. The emotions in the scene start coming out on full display as they argue back and forth over how they both individually saw things from different perspectives that night, as Carly is upset over him claiming she is stringing him along and feels that just being friends with her is only a consolation prize for him, as tears are barely kept at bay with Freddy leaving. Carly talks with Harper, who helps her see that she hasn't had a chance to properly express to Freddy that she wants to be with him, as she worries that he thinks that what she was doing recreating that night was anything but trying to express some of those feelings she actually has. Freddy spends some time now speaking with Spencer, as he feels horrible for making Carly feel like just being her friend isn't good enough for him, and for being so stuck in his feelings from the original moment in Italy, crawling back up to the surface and getting the better of him. Spencer mentions that Carly is upset over thinking that their friendship in general is ruined, leaving some sort of note for him upstairs in the studio, as he then rushes up there to go get it, only to be surprised by her waiting for him with a new display of Spencer's memory lane, with her hard drive being fully recovered, with us getting to see a bunch of photos of past and present times, even seeing Sam in some of the photos. Carly is able to speak with Freddy, and her speech to him is really heartfelt and cute, as she confesses directly to him that she likes him and wants to be with him. Freddy wants her to know that being her friend has never been a consolation prize to him, and he never wants to lose her as a friend if they do give this thing a shot and it doesn't end up working out. They make themselves official and embrace an impassionate kiss, not like any other time they've kissed before, but one that makes the whole build-up for so long worth it. This moment was so important to the show and the series as a whole. The way they deliver the dialogue continues to be so beautifully done, and it shows how much the creatives and the actors are so invested into these roles, into who these characters are. As for the Mrs. Benson storyline, Harper is finally able to come up with some ideas for her dress that she'll truly love, that helps Marissa feel like she does on the inside. Just an overall fantastic episode. For episode 4, I Go Public, Freddy and Carly are filming a segment for iCarly that involves live viewer questions that relate to her dating status, as she plays coy and tries to disregard them, making Freddy feel that she doesn't want to let out that they're dating. At one point, she even cuts away to a sponsor for a smart towel, acting as a brand deal here, and it would be really funny if I used this moment to do the same. But I won't. As they talk about this after, Carly doesn't admit to not wanting to make it public, leading Freddy to believe that she wants to announce it in a grand way, and doesn't stop him from being excited and looking forward to it. Spencer tricks everyone into coming to Shay What and bringing us to the side plot of him installing a new arcade game there called Possum's Secret Handshake, that Millicent enjoys playing and Harper gets sucked into being addicted to. Carly does get to talk with Harper about why she doesn't want her relationship with Freddy to go public, wanting to keep this as something special for them and not for the rest of the world. And with what happened with Bo back at the start of the revival, she's scared of being in the public eye with someone she cares so deeply about, leaving it to be special for them. She tries to start planning a way to speak to Freddy about this to convince him that this bubble, as she calls it, is just for them. Opposite of this, Freddy wants to plan something special and big to surprise Carly in a romantic gesture for her, having Spencer help him in a way of setting up a live stream on the roof of their building with a drone show that announces their cruddy relationship in the sky. Carly, though, catches Spencer getting all of the drones ready when she kind of figures everything out, as Spencer points her to the roof where both Freddy and the transmitter for the drones are. Up there, he has already set up the live stream and starts it, with Carly rushing up there to destroy the transmitter to cancel the drone show. Carly begins explaining herself about wanting to keep things special for them and why she's worried about him if they did make it public, as Freddy realizes that the chair holding the door open is no longer doing that, thus having the door closed and locking them both up there with no help coming. Spencer got pulled away for the side plot as the Possum animatronic has gone all 5 nights at Shay What on Millicent and Harper, giving them threats if they try and leave or stop playing, even attacking them all at one point, as we find out that this game was recalled because the animatronic tends to get a little bit quirky at night, but they are able to defeat it before things get too ridiculous. Stuck on the roof, Carly and Freddy go deeper into their conversation about a public relationship, making note that she wants to protect him from things like the horror of internet comments, something that he should probably be well aware of and something I know all too well. Some of you out there are just so mean to me. Jeez, I'm sorry for... I don't even know what I did. Freddy understands where she is coming from, and no matter what, he's just happy to be with her, public or not, telling her that he loves her, as they both then get alerted to this all being streamed live, with Freddy forgetting about that as they quickly turn off the stream. But upon seeing the responses online to this being both nice and a bit creepy, Carly says screw it and turns back on the live stream, not wanting to hide it anymore, as she tells Freddy that she loves him, and they kiss, and hey, the drone show still goes off, but with the transmitter broken, it goes into its recent formation of when Spencer was testing it, as they all realize it looks like a
throbbing lighthouse.
Yeah, it's not a lighthouse as Spencer claims. But this was a really fun episode where the dialogue once again drives the narrative here, making the situation more impactful because of it. Truly a great job in helping advance our characters here as they start growing in their relationship, getting past some more childish ways of not just properly communicating and just being open.
You handle my sister, but with respect. I read the Wikipedia page.
For our 5th episode, I Faked It, we enter the halfway point of the season. This episode seems to have listened to a lot of the feedback from the past 2 seasons when it comes to tackling relevant modern day issues involving the internet and incorporating it into the story of Carly's job as a content creator. Carly walks in on a video call that Spencer is on with Carly that freaks them all out as they Spider-Man meme for a moment before Freddy comes over to explain what deepfakes are, leaving us with a little mystery of who is behind pretending to be Carly. On top of this, the fake Carly has released a meat substitute product that has her face on it that she had never heard of, and it tastes awful, and it's making her look bad. As they discuss this further, Carly mentions that she has received threatening comments online about knowing her information, and that they will find her and do bad things, and while she brushes this off as just some comments, she was initially freaked out by them, but she did seek out help by authorities, but they couldn't or wouldn't do anything about it. She hops on a live stream to make it clear that there is someone else impersonating her to make her look awful, when all of a sudden the deepfake Carly joins the call. But clever speech patterns, tone of voice, and certain words used lead them to figure out that it's Neville Papperman as they get invited to go confront them. Also, the live comments seen in the chat feel a lot more real and true to what some viewer comments may be, so I like that little detail had some more thought put into it. Confronting Neville, he, along with his wife Prunella, make a return to the show as we find out that they are both both behind this because it first started out as just revenge on her for not getting them a wedding gift, but it quickly became their kink to mess with Carly, leading them to have a deeper spark in their relationship and becoming more intimate than ever. You can use your imagination. We find out that the meat substitution product is rotten, and it's going to affect a lot of people as Carly hopes this will all go away. This is until they continue their efforts by deep faking Freddy into endorsing the product, and Carly loses it. But rather than be violent and attack them that way, they fight deepfakes with deepfakes, having Freddy help Carly and Spencer turn into Neville and Prunella to admit to their wrongdoings and prove Carly innocent, with Neville wanting to come to a truce for now. This causes Prunella to want to leave Neville if they have nothing to bring them together like that did, but Carly sends them a wedding present finally that's a cardboard cutout of her for them to torment instead as they keep their relationship going thanks to this. So I like that it uses a very light version of what's going on in the real world with the power of computers and the internet to aid in the comedy of the story here. It also shows all of the truly bad things that this type of technology could cause, but doing so in a comedic sitcom fashion that doesn't let it get more serious than it easily could have been taken. It's a hard balance because of the serious issues, but I am glad to see it being tackled nonetheless for a show revolving around being a part of the online space. As for Harper this episode, her time is focused on her new girlfriend Tinsley, whose best friend Dimitri Pasquale is coming to visit as we find out that he wants to kill Harper for the reasons of wanting Tinsley single again and spending her time and money on him. He's extremely rude and says awful things, but not in the somewhat romantic, loving way that Tinsley and Harper do to each other, but in a more serious and spiteful way. At one point, he tries poisoning her with the toxic meat substitute, but in their arguing, Tinsley almost takes a bite, with them having to stop her from doing so, as it's exposed to her what her friend has been doing, as we find out his real name was Andrew, and he was thrown out of her life. Episode 6, I Reunited and It Felt Okay, revolves around the main plot of Carly and Freddy going to their 10-year high school reunion, as Carly is excited to be in her class photo since she had to finish up school remotely while living in Italy, missing all of the exciting stuff happening in senior year, like Freddy becoming pretty cool and popular as we see cameo after cameo make an appearance from the original iCarly show, like Rip-Off Rodney, Magic Malika, both Toby and Barry, who are from a brief appearance in the original show being in Freddy's model train club, and then there is Shane, who Sam and Carly had a fight over back in the day, with him falling down their elevator shaft. He's also a member of Big Time Rush. Here though, Shane is now the gym teacher at the school, and Carly kind of upsets him by making some jabs at physical education. Come to find out when we see Principal Franklin that Carly never graduated, technically, like she thought she did, with her never getting a full credit in, yep, you guessed it, phys ed. And now she can't be in the photo since she never graduated from the school. She never ended up receiving any of the letters that were sent to her, informing her of this, thanks to Spencer giving out the most BS address in Italy possible. This leads to Carly going to Shane to beg him to pass her, but he won't do it unless she actually passes the fitness test, having her do it right there on the spot, to which she fails horribly. She's extremely bummed about this, and sad that she isn't allowed in the photo, as Freddy gives her a speech about how great she is, and he's so lucky to be with her, and she should be proud of all that she's done. And it's really adorable, but when Shane is stuck in the rafters of the gym at the top of a rope, thanks to a wasp's nest up there, she springs into action, using the skills she's learned, grabbing his EpiPen since he's allergic to wasps, and climbs up the rope and getting it to him, allowing her to get a passing grade and officially being a high school graduate. She is able to be in the picture now, but thanks to Principal Franklin getting drunk, he raises his glass up in the photo, covering Carly's face anyway, but hey, at least she graduated. The other story in this episode is pretty wild too, as Harper walks into Spencer's apartment to see him with a bunch of kids, as he explains that he at one point, when needing money, donated a bunch of his, well, you know, and all of these kids are technically his offspring. At one point though, they realize that there is 11 kids here instead of the 10 that it should be, but every kid is so much like him that they can't figure out who is the imposter kid, if there even is one. Oh, look, finally, a sculpture made by him that's on fire. With the fire alarm going off and all of the parents of the kids come rushing out to grab their kids and leave, there remains only one kid left, and that's Potter. This one kid that is very much like Spencer and his so-called favorite of the bunch. We find out that she has a problem where some things around her spontaneously combust when she touches them, and her mother shows up and explains that they have been looking for him and that she's a nurse who saw that his donation was a hot commodity, all because he's tall. So she had some for herself, and don't worry, Harper quickly points out the ethics of that, and she's single, so Spencer asks her out, and she says yes. Also, Carly and Freddie eventually come over to find out about all of Spencer's kids, specifically Potter here, and are all shocked. What a fun episode this was. Sure, it's a lot of fan service, but as a fan, I feel serviced. The cameos aren't played up as anything too special aside from them being some fun, smaller callbacks, and it may not offer a bunch of substance here, but not every episode needs to. It does enough with a good mix of character growth, relationship growth, and throwing in a few fun surprises. It's the weekend for Miss Benson's bachelorette party as Carly sets it all up for them to go to Toledo, Ohio. In episode 7, I go to Toledo. For all of them to be a part of the Toledo house flip experience, but it's nothing like the fun party the show seems like, and Miss Benson refers to Carly as classic Carly in a negative way, referring to the traits about Carly that irk her. Carly is determined to spend time with Miss Benson this weekend to win her over and not just be seen as classic Carly. The experience, however, turns into them just handing their phones over to Emily, who has them all just working on renovating the house, doing nothing but manual labor as Carly and Harper try hyping it up by making it a bit more of a party with truth or hammer, and even doing a bit of drinking. We see Miss Benson start taking out her rage on the wall as the underlying problem isn't just Carly, it's about losing her son and the way things have always been before he's only focusing on her now, as she's just sad about her son growing up so fast, despite still having her usual issues with Carly. When she wants to go home, Carly says screw it as they all decide to just leave, and she admits that she's never gonna win her over. But Emily reveals that it wasn't a waiver that was signed to do this, but an employment contract that will trap them there until the renovation is done, with Millicent under the threat of child labor laws given a helping position directly with Emily. In the meantime, back with Freddie, he is stuck having to throw a bachelor party for Lubert as he reluctantly goes along with it, getting Spencer and then self-proclaimed king of bachelor parties Paul to join in on it. And to their surprise, they all have a decent time with Lubert, sharing in drinking his homemade lube juice. One side effect of it is that it makes you tell the truth, so they all can't help but admit to some inner thoughts thanks to this truth serum. But the party is interrupted as Millicent gets a hold of their phones and texts Freddie about this emergency as they make their way over there with Miss Benson fully going crazy. And not in the way of kicking some butt crazy, but in the way of running inside the walls of the house to be alone, prompting Emily to say that they need to get her out of there as they can't flip it with a crazy person living in the walls. Carly goes into the vents after her, crawling around all die-hard John McClane style just to get to her, as the boys somehow quickly make their way over to Ohio and burst in to really help with nothing, at least not yet. Carly pushes past her claustrophobia in this tight space to get to Miss Benson, as she's having to work through these feelings she has as Carly speaks to her as well, with the two of them working through the root of the problem and making peace, as Miss Benson now breaks through the wall, menacingly glaring through it like she's in The Shining, only to have Lubert use his lawyer skills to lay down the law on Emily and litigiously threaten her until she gives up and runs out, with our group here now being free, and hey, we got to learn some of the ingredients in lube juice. How great. I like how Carly and Miss Benson got to speak in this episode, really proving how much more character they are giving Miss Benson this season, as she has to face her emotions and her reality as a mother with a grown-up kid. Episode 8, I Cause a Catastrophe, has Harper and Carly spending time with Tinsley together to make her feel more welcome in the friend group, as Tinsley gives Carly a pair of $80,000 earrings that when she hears the value, she passes out, and they become this burden on her soul of what to do with them, being worth that kind of money. Spencer talks about this upcoming Seattle Cat Museum fundraiser gala that he's building a giant kitty castle for, as Carly thinks that this is a good way to do a good thing with the value of these earrings, helping cats in need with a large sum of money, technically. Freddie is afraid of cats though, causing Spencer to force upon him some cat exposure therapy so he can get over his fears and go to the event for Millicent, who is extremely excited to be there and getting to meet a famous cat that she practically worships. Spencer even goes full cat on Freddie, striking more fear into him than anything. Carly goes into the cat museum to donate the earrings as we meet Myrtle, who is beyond grateful for the donation and for how many cats it will save. She's also a crazy cat lady in general, so she's a bit odd. Carly believes she's done a good thing here until back at the apartment where Harper says she's done a bad thing, as when Tinsley comes over, she's excited about the gala, having purchased a seat on the board of directors and getting them a table for the event, and thinks that Carly should wear those earrings to the event. But now At the event, Carly has to figure out a way to get those earrings back, finding out now that they are on full display and learns that if she were to try and take them back, Myrtle will have some awful things happen to her. Now, Carly speaks with Tinsley as she explains that they have a great bit of sentimental value to them, with Carly deciding that she needs to steal them back now, coming up with a plan where Spencer causes a distraction, Harper keeps Tinsley from seeing them, Millicent keeping Myrtle busy, and Freddy to cut the cameras and disengage the alarms. With things going well at first as Spencer unleashes a bunch of cats, but with Freddy getting freaked out by them still, he is not able to cut the alarms in time and Carly gets caught. Tinsley is upset at Carly, but Millicent isn't upset at her father as the famous cat comes up to Freddy, pretty much keeping him in shock, with Millicent thinking her dad is pretty awesome. And the pain of struggling with this fear of cats is worth it for that. Myrtle then points fingers at Tinsley, saying that it's truly her fault, but Carly cuts her off and takes full responsibility in sending Myrtle away from berating Tinsley. For defending her, Tinsley forgives Carly, and even says that she's going to buy back the earrings and still give them to her as well. Then they all drink milk out of cat bowls. Definitely on the more random side of things for the plot of this episode, but I think cats are awesome and that's my takeaway from it all. For episode 9, I Create a New Ecosystem, Freddy's ex-wife and Millicent's mom Gwen is coming to visit for a custody checkup and to make sure that everything is okay and hopefully spend some time with her daughter. With her work as a marine biologist, she spends a lot of her time out at sea on a boat, making her conditions not the best for her daughter to come live with her, trusting Freddy to still be this great father for her and help nurture the ecosystem that they built together. Carly and Freddy were planning on telling Gwen that they are dating now, but once she arrives and the tone of the situation sets in, Freddy calls an audible and hides it from her for now, sending Carly out of the apartment. Freddy is worried that any little change to the way Gwen and Freddy have set things up will result in her wanting to take custody back of Millicent and away from him. Freddy brings Carly a bunch of baby books for her to read up on and learn about being a mom to come off to Gwen as if she knows a lot about being a parent. But Harper and Carly think that a family fun day, or a fafuta for short, would be the best way to show this and prove that their ecosystem isn't being ruined for Millicent in any way. Paul comes around seemingly lonely after being broken up with a girl that he was dating for like 2 hours who left him in the middle of watching Avatar, as he now begs Carly to be a part of the family fun day to give him something to do. He now tags along to hopefully act as a hype up for Carly, making her look good to Gwen. In probably the greatest comedic scene this whole season, Spencer later stumbles upon the baby books left in the iCarly set and comes to a realization that Carly is pregnant, freaking out, screaming at the top of his lungs, running all around his apartment in a panic as he then bursts into Miss Benson's place saying he's going to be a grandpa, with both Miss Benson and Lubert joining in on the whole freaking out and running around thing. What an incredible scene this all is, with the shocked performances to casually referring to being a grandpa to Carly and Freddy's baby, as he's always had this father figure protection over Carly, to even Spencer tipping over the furniture randomly in Miss Benson's place just for no reason. It just hits all the right comedic and sincere notes, and it leads to them all having this secret grandparents meeting to discuss the whole situation and start adapting to their grandparent roles. As the family fun day is being set up outside, Paul begins his crusade of trying to hit on Gwen at every moment he can interject in on, as their matching Fafuta shirts come in and they are misprinted, now saying Fafupa. As Gwen then finds out from Paul that Freddy is unemployed right now. Technically, he's just working on iCarly. Because of this, she feels that there is a level of untrust between them as co-parents of Millicent, and then thanks to Spencer and mainly Lubert for spilling the secret of thinking Carly is pregnant, with Spencer being too overprotective of anything around her. Everyone is shocked to hear this as Freddy, who happily and gracefully comes up to Carly asking if this is true, gets told that no, she isn't pregnant, as the secret of them being a couple is fully revealed to Gwen, who now, mixed with the clear dysfunction of everyone around, says that the decision about Millicent is made and that the ecosystem here is broken. But Millicent walks off to be alone, as the arguing between everyone continues. Carly spots Millicent and walks over to her to have probably the most real and on a friend level chat that they've ever had, giving her a chance to be heard and speak about what she truly wants, as they're always making the decision for her and not taking her feelings here into consideration. Carly comforts her in this moment as she continues on about this place, this disarray, all being her home. She is comfortable functioning in life here and doesn't want to go live out at sea with her mom, thanking Carly for being there for her and helping her build up the confidence to speak up for herself here. But both Freddy and Gwen overheard everything and reassure her that she is what matters the most in the end, and they're sorry for putting that all on her. All is well in their ecosystem as Freddy and Carly promise to communicate better in the future with Gwen when it comes to being in the know about anything involving their daughter. Speaking of ecosystems, Lubert wants to have one for his bugs and various creepy crawlers, but Miss Benson does not want them at her place, especially after they fully decide that he will be moving in with her. So to compromise, Spencer takes in all of the critters at his place, with Carly walking into the studio to see it infested with all of them, leaving her running around through the apartment screaming like Spencer did earlier. A perfect way to close out the episode. Yeah, this one was a good one that brings us a separated family having to try and figure things out, with Carly stepping into their personal mix, making everyone here feel like one big family. Okay, maybe not Paul, but still, there's great jokes and great bits throughout.
I can't believe you did this.
And now for the finale, episode 10, I Have a Proposal. It's time for Miss Benson and Lubert's wedding, but her original maid of honor messes up the theme for her wedding that she would want, with Carly seemingly knowing the perfect solution to what she truly wanted, as Miss Benson now gives Carly the role of maid of honor and trusts her to set everything up, showing us that their relationship has grown and continued on from when they had to speak about it all a few episodes back. Carly and Freddie share in a romantic moment privately of playing out the ceremony, with Carly envisioning the beauty that comes from a marriage, all from one single question being asked, with Freddie feeling that Carly is giving him strong signs that she wants him to propose to her. Freddie talks to Spencer about this as he's worried it's too soon for him and Carly to take that next step, having rushed into 2 marriages before that didn't end up lasting, but knows that Carly is the girl of his dreams and still would marry her in a heartbeat if that's what she wanted as well. Spencer helps Freddie in figuring out what Carly truly wants, speaking with Carly and not so nonchalantly lets it out to her what he was doing, with Carly figuring it out fully and saying no in a shocked response. But with how bad Spencer is in relaying information back and forth, he tells Freddie that she said no and doesn't have an interest in marrying him like he thought, as he begins to question what their future may actually hold. The problem here, aside from Spencer, is that these two aren't the ones directly communicating about this, getting bit versions of the truth and not the full reality of the context. Spencer goes back to Carly now, bringing in some supplies for the wedding like some fireworks, and mentioning that there is no worry about being proposed to now, as Freddie won't ever do it, upsetting Carly as she didn't mean she never wanted it to happen, just not now being ready to think about it all happening this soon, and for something to see what the future of their relationship holds. With all of this stress in trying to set up the wedding venue, mixed with all of this Freddie stuff, the place gets all messed up thanks to the fireworks now going off and nearly burning down the place. Carly tries her best not to have a full breakdown here, but Spencer and her get serious with a heart-to-heart about their mother, who has been this elusive figure throughout all of iCarly that never gets too deeply discussed, leaving it a mystery to all of us. Carly realizes that a lot of her mixed thoughts about this stem from their mom, as she worries about doing the same thing that she did to their dad to Freddie, cluing us in further to there being a lot of unpacked baggage left when it comes to their mom and what actually happened in the past. Overnight, Spencer ends up cleaning up and fixing the venue along with Freddie, as now the two finally get a private moment to talk about their feelings and what their future together holds. Carly admits that she doesn't know exactly what she wants when thinking about the future, but she is confident in knowing that no matter what, she wants Freddie, and is excited to be on this journey with him. This moment is very emotionally charged and super touching, showcasing the strength of being each other's endgame, taking on these major life moments as they naturally come together. In the background of this episode, Harper and Tinsley have a very mini arc in their relationship, as Tinsley's always the pampered and tended to one in the relationship through a mix of her rich background and from the love that Harper wants to show her. But at one point when Harper doesn't feel too well, she ends up milking the whole experience of getting to feel pampered and tended to, enjoying the feeling of it and enjoying seeing Tinsley go through it. But in seeing Tinsley pushing out of her boundaries she's used to for her, she eventually comes clean about this before the wedding, and the two are a-okay, and that's great. But now we get to the big ending as the wedding is officially about to start, but Miss Benson and Lubert are nowhere to be found, as we learn that they left and went to Vegas for a private getaway marriage that they fantasized about, leaving this already rented out venue with everyone there, but with no wedding to celebrate. In the heat of the moment, both Carly and Freddie turn to each other, and they seemingly feel the same way, speaking with their eyes and contemplating taking that full-on leap into being married, confirming that they do want to spend the rest of their lives together. But before another word can come out, Spencer and Carly Carly have their attention shifted to someone off screen, where they react to seeing their mother somehow showing up, leaving season 3 on yet another cliffhanger ending as we don't get to see their mom. Wow, truly, what an ending. So much build up, so much potential for what is about to happen for Carly and Freddie, only to leave us on a note of Carly's mom finally entering the picture now, as I guess that's something for us to deal with in the next season, giving us so much this season to feel satisfied with, but ending it with so much that you'd want to see coming up. The perfect way to treat the audience, from delivering on so much and now me wanting and waiting for what's next.
I gotta go home and get my poppers.
This season of iCarly honestly feels so much more focused on the good and mostly cutting out the fat that didn't work, at least for me, in the first 2 seasons. I spent the last couple of years going into it with a lot of excitement to see a show that ages with its audience and giving it a fair share of criticism. I may have been on the side of enjoying it more than most, but there were plenty of moments that really held the show back from being great to provide a full reason for it to come back outside of nostalgia. Season 3 is that reason the show deserves to be here. That's not me saying the first 2 seasons don't offer anything, because they certainly do. I enjoyed them. But here it takes every piece of criticism that myself and many others had and crafted a thoroughly thought out story that weaves through every episode. While I have some more favorite episodes than others this season, I can't really say that any of them were bad. Honestly, the majority of them are great, with only like 2 or 3 sitting a little under that, being at a pretty good level. That's honestly an incredible feat to see as a fan wanting this show to get better and better. Having the heart of this season be the relationship of Freddie and Carly as it drives us from the first episode to the last, with everything else starting to orbit around it, and I thought it was a great choice. Usually in sitcoms, when the main characters end up together, the show starts to go downhill, and if they want to escape this, they have them break up. But here, it was the end game, for both the characters and for the audience who have been waiting to see Freddie be a thing officially for a long time. Something that the original show and revival have used as bait, feeling like Freddie being strung along on the will they won't they aspect of their close relationship. A lot of this season has to rely on the dialogue and for how the characters communicate, not just the writing between Freddie and Carly, but with all of our main cast. It just feels like a lot more time was spent fleshing out the characters and having them be fully understood, using them in the best ways possible. In saying that, Millicent takes the biggest backseat compared to season 1 and 2 here, where she feels more like a tag-along character, not having many plot points focusing directly on her, but with how they used her character being more of a scene support gave her a better connection to the other characters and to the audience. Harper feels like that to a degree as well, still getting some time for their own stuff with her relationship with Tinsley, but she aided in Carly's plots or Spencer's plots perfectly, allowing her to grow as a strong friend to the other characters. Everything felt like the pieces were in the right places. Jeremy Trainor continues to be this perfect specimen of a human being as Spencer, as he chews up every scene that he's in. From his timing to his physical comedy, he never leaves a scene feeling dry. But more so than just him delivering a high level of comedy, the jokes and the delivery of the jokes all around were a lot better. I found myself having a laugh or chuckle more often than not, and at the very least, a smile left on my face while watching. The more adult jokes didn't feel force-fed in to fit the more adult audience now, it felt natural, and that truly is thanks to the delivery of them and the performances, with each actor feeling so comfortable in their roles. Miss Benson has a personal arc throughout the season that makes her character a lot more dimensional, and Lubert really surprises here, being a great mainstay side character. Aside from feeling that there is a lot of love behind the scenes going into making the best show that they could, Nathan Kress, who plays Freddie and even directs some of the episodes, is very vocal about his love and care for the show and its fans on Twitter, or X, I'm not calling it X. He speaks with his fans and unveils behind the scenes details, and even more, like having an in-character playlist that Freddie would have being made during the I Make New Memories episode that encapsulates Freddie's feelings for Carly over the past decade. The details make the difference. The passion and care from the creators from all aspects of the production deliver a product that feels a lot more special this time around. It's insane to see how good this season is. I expected it to, at its worst, be on par with the last 2 seasons, but it exceeded my expectations in every shape or form. I am extremely looking forward to what season 4 holds, hoping that there is a season 4, as at this time it isn't confirmed yet, but with such a cliffhanger, there better be. But as far as my thoughts on season 3, that's all I got. There's only one thing we need to know left, and that is how Janiac Jr. feels about this season of iCarly. I truly appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure to let me know your thoughts about this season of the iCarly revival in the comments, or just in general, the series as a whole. I'll be back with another video really soon. Hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Later.